Hello everyone, welcome to the Archipelago live stream. My name's Liam, I'm part of the team here at Archipelago, makers of Lightroom presets and creative profiles. Welcome to another stream. This one is an Archipelago edits stream. That means I'll be editing images today submitted by the community. Very, very excited to showcase these edits to you today. And this one is all about mixing and matching. That means I'll be taking a preset from one collection, matching it and mixing it up with a creative profile from another set, some tools sprinkled in from other sets as well, and also just sharing a few tips and hand edits along the way as well. So welcome to the stream. If you are tuned in live, do jump in the chat and say hello. It's always great to connect with you in the chat. We, of course, will be doing a giveaway on this stream. So actually, each of the photographers that I'll be featuring today, I've got 4 wonderful images. And those images were selected from the pool that have been submitted through to us. And each of those photographers, because they've been selected, will be getting a free preset collection of their choice. So big thank you to those photographers. You'll see their names as I go through the edits. You'll see that in Lightroom. So big congratulations to those photographers. Thank you so much for submitting. If you haven't submitted raw files to us yet, you can do so by following the link that's in the description of this video. And we will take submissions all the time. You can submit as many as you like. Just submit through raw files with your details, and we'll be choosing from that pool of images for future live streams. So all the Archipelago edits live streams will be taken from that pool of images. And if yours is selected, you'll get a free preset collection as well. But of course, we'll be doing a giveaway in the chat. Just to say thank you for tuning in. I know holiday is now in full swing, so people are very, very busy at this time of year. So thank you very much for everyone that is tuned in live. But if you are tuned in, you're halfway towards being entered into our giveaway for the live chat. All you need to do is actually just chat in the comments there as you go through the rest of this stream. So just jump in that chat, say hello, keep chatting as we go through the stream, and we'll be picking people from that to win some goodies at the end of this stream. So yeah, jump in there, say hello. If you haven't subscribed to the channels, you will need to subscribe first, and then it'll let you get in the chat a minute or so later. So I can see we've got a few people on already. Thank you so much for joining. Amanda's on. We've got Sarah on. China's on. Wonderful stuff. Thank you so much. Ashley said, so excited to get some images, some inspo, to use my sets together. Yes. Very excited. I've got some recipes that I've sort of prepared for the 4 images. So I've got those on my my little device here. So I'll be referencing that as we go through and just sharing the recipe that I've created for each of these images. But like I said before, I'll be mixing together different presets with different creative profiles, different tools, just to show you what you can do, hopefully give you a little bit of inspiration to play around and do your own mixing and matching. Lloyd's on as well. Wonderful stuff. Thank you so much. Lauren says goodies, absolutely. We always like to do our little goodie giveaways. So yeah, if you are in that chat, keep talking as we go through this. You'll be in with a chance of winning some goodies, and we'll announce that at the end of the stream. So just stick around and we'll announce at the end. Like I said, I've got 4 images. Let me switch over to Lightroom. I'll show you the first one. This one here by Javid. You can see the photographer's name at the top left, along with their Instagram handle and the EXIF data for the image. And this is the first of the 4 images that I'll be editing with today. So as I go through this stream, if you like the images that you've seen, you want to see more of their work, do go and take a look at their Instagrams. But big thank you to Javid. Congratulations for having your image selected. This one's a gorgeous photo. So let's get underway. Let's start editing and get the first recipe underway. China said, wouldn't want to be anywhere else right now. Love that. Love that. All right, let's get on with this. So let's start off by taking a look at, in fact, I'll tell you what I do want to do. Let's just quit any apps that are going to bother us. There we go. So I'm going to start off by just bringing the exposure down a tiny little bit. I'm going to bring the temperature up. Somewhere around there is looking good to me. And for this one, I'm going to start off with quite a clean edit. I'm going to go for a fairly color neutral edit on this one. I'm going to start off with Alethea. This one's available at archipelagopresets.com. And this is a color accurate set designed to give you a really nice base for your images. So I'm going to start off with the Alethea color base, which is going to give us a really nice, crisp, clean edit, very true color. Now, of course, this set has a whole bunch of profiles in it. This one is kind of about mixing and matching in a way, because you apply the color base and then you've got 10 color profiles to choose from and 2 black and white profiles. And again, you can sort of mix and match them, but that's against the rules for this. I'm not allowed to use a profile from the same set as the preset. So I've applied the color base, so that's where we're starting. Very nice clean edit, but I'm not going to use any of the Alethea creative profiles for this. I'm going to jump into the profile browser. For anyone that doesn't know, the creative profiles, you're going to find them in the profile browser. So at the top right of the basic panel, you're going to see these 4 boxes. Give that a click and you're in the profile browser. And this is where you're going to find all the creative profiles for all the different sets. So of course you can see Alethea highlighted there. That's the current profile that's applied. But for this, I'm going to use one of the Quest profiles. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at this month's Quest set, and that's Zalia. So Zalia has 2 creative profiles. We've got the cobalt blue and the sea green. And sea green is what I'm going to use for this particular one. So if I go ahead and hover over sea green and give that a click, you're going to see that's going to apply that creative profile, but it's still keeping the preset as the base. It's only changing the profile. So all the rest of the settings in the develop module are staying exactly the same. It's just the creative profile that is changing. So now I've got sea green applied, and that's defaulting to 100. So when you apply a profile like this, the profile will set to 100, and then you have the amount slider at the top to adjust it. So I'm going to bring that to the left. This is with no profile applied, and this is up at 200. I'm going to go fairly high because I quite like what it's doing to the greens. I like the extra little bit of warmth it's pushing in there as well. So I'm going to go about 156. So I can close out the profile browser. So that's Alethea color base with Zalia sea green creative profile. So now let's go ahead and use some tools. I'm going to go into the AI wedding toolset first. We're going to use one of the scene tools in this. So the AI wedding toolset is available from our Quest subscription, archipelagoquest.com. You can purchase this from the archive store. And this set is designed for wedding photographers, but it will actually work across any type of photography. It's just a series of tools that are initially geared up for wedding photography, just because when you're shooting a wedding, you encounter a vast array of different lighting scenarios that you sort of need to address and enhance the subject in various different ways. And this is just a tool set that kind of brings all that together in one place. So you can see you have things like dynamics, you have scenes, subjects, skin tones, clothing, all that good stuff. So you can use this in any of your portraiture or whatever it might be, commercial work, anything like that. But I'm going to use one of the scene tools in here, which is the harsh light repair tool. So if I give that a click, you can see that's going to do a really nice job of helping out this quite harsh light that we had in the scene. So it's not super harsh. Obviously, we've not got really, really harsh light in this one. There's no direct light or anything like that. But we have got some quite bright highlights and some deeper shadows. So we're just going to fix that by applying the harsh light repair. So that's before and that's after. And of course, the preset amount slider, so you can just dial that to where you want. So I'm going to bring it in, not super high, just a little bit, just to kind of recover some of the shadows and bring those highlights down. So I think somewhere around about there is looking good, 64. So that's where we are so far. All right, so let's close that down. Let's close that down so we can keep it nice and clean. So we're going to go ahead and use the AI portrait toolset. This is the same sort of concept. This one, again, is available on archipelagoquest.com. And this one is just geared up for portraiture. So it's designed to help address a lot of the issues and the kind of the different things that we come across when we're shooting portraiture, including things like doing skin retouching and all that kind of good stuff, all in Lightroom, which is incredible. It's using the AI functionality to figure out different features of the individual, and one click you can get that kind of effect applied, and then the preset amount slider, of course, lets you dial that in. So for this, one thing I do want to do is just take a look at the skin tones. I just want to add a little bit of magenta into the skin tones just to balance things out. So I'm going to go to Skin Shift Magenta. Give that a second to figure out where the subjects are, and that's applied a nice little bit of magenta to the skin. So if I bring that to 0, up to 200, you can see it's fairly subtle, but it's adding a nice amount of magenta, and I think 100 looks bang on. There we go, before and after. It's just offsetting a little bit of that sea green that's coming into the skin tones just by using the skin targeting tools in the AI portrait toolset. We can also use one of the other tools that I tend to use quite a bit, which is called Restore Tone, and this one's to help out with skin tones. So if I go ahead and apply Restore Tone, and again, this is at 0, 200. I'm just going to use this to get a nice natural skin tone on the subjects. I think probably around about there, 130. So again, before and after. So we're looking good so far. What else have we got? All right, so I think the highlights are still quite strong in this. We can see in the background and a little bit in the subjects, just sort of on the cheek here and the nose. So I'm just going to address that by using the masking tools. So I'm going to go into the mask layers here, create a new mask. I'm going to go to luminance range. And now with luminance range, you get this dropper appear on the image, and this lets you select the luminance that it's going to address. So I want to address the highlights. So this area here, so I'm just going to give that a click, and you can see it goes red, and that's just showing you which parts of the image this is affecting. So it's affecting the highlights in the image, and you can dial that in further by addressing the kind of amount of the highlights that it kind of addresses. So I'm going to go somewhere around about there, and then I'm going to apply an adjustment, which is just to bring the highlights down a little bit. So I'm just going to bring that down probably around about there. So about -31. So before, after, again, quite subtle. I could go down a little bit more actually, maybe about 43. So before and after. So just a little bit of an address to that, just so it's not super bright in the background. So that's looking good. And let's see, I think one more thing to do on this image. I'm just noticing when I zoom in, if I'm going quite far, I can see there is some purple fringing to this. So I just want to address that by going into the lens corrections. And of course we have the defringe tool here. If I give the little dropper to the side a click and then find the color fringing, which is this sort of magenta purplish tone here, give that a click. And it's usually a little bit too aggressive. I find it can sort of go a little bit too far. So all you have to do is just bring the amount down just enough so that it's not affecting the skin next to it. I think probably somewhere around about there. And you can just adjust the amount of the colors that are involved there as well. I'm going to go a little bit higher, maybe, yeah, about there looks good. So zoom back out, and there we go. That's before and after. This image again is by Javid. This one is edited with a Lethia color base. We've got Azalea Sea Green Creative Profile applied to it. We've used the tools from AI Weddings. We used the harsh light scene adjustment. And we also used AI Portrait toolset, Skin Shift Magenta, and Skin Restore Tone. And then we've just done a couple of little hand edits there to fix the highlights and also to address the fringing in the image. I'll give you a little side-by-side there as well. Again, nice and color accurate, kind of retaining a lot of the natural tones in this. We're just enhancing some of those colors a little bit further and adding that little injection of sea green from the Azalea profile. But super, super nice. If I zoom in, let's go to 100 so you can see the details there. And let's take a look at the chat, what we're saying. China says that's one combination I haven't tried yet, so good. Lloyd says the AI wedding set is such a time saver, massive, massive time saver. And like I said, although it's geared up for weddings simply because we have all of those issues we have to address in one batch of images, it will work for almost everything that you do. So any type of photography, you can use the wedding tool set to address a lot of the issues you might come across. I literally use the Amara and HS profiles with everything, and I find that it makes the ones that are not really my style closer to what I'm looking for. Love that, Amanda. You found your style. That's awesome. Bryn says, harsh light has saved my butt a couple of times. Absolutely, yeah. It does an amazing job on those scenes where you have that really, really distinct harsh light, really deep shadows, really harsh, bright highlights. It does an amazing job of addressing that and balancing it out with one click, which is incredible. Loving the tones of the rusts and corals against the warmer green. Thank you, Nicola. Yes, my defringe constantly messes with the skin. Yeah, unfortunately, sometimes the color fringing tends to lean a little bit towards the kind of same color as skin tone, so it can become a little bit of a problem. So you kind of have to go in and sort of do more of a hand edit. But I find if you just dial it back a little bit, just enough so that the fringing isn't super obvious from a distance, kind of leave a little bit of the fringing in to kind of save it affecting the skin tone, it tends to work fairly well. The sea green really tops this off. Thank you, Lloyd. Lovely, so zoom back out. There we go. So before and after. So that's the first image edited. We've got 3 more to go. So let's roll on to the next one. This one here by Katrina. Let's take a look at our recipe for this one. So we're going to go for a filmic type edit on this one, but again, we're not just going to use one particular preset collection. We're going to sort of mix and match and create something a little bit more unique. So let's start off by just getting the exposure and white balance looking good. A slight increase on the exposure and add a little bit of warmth. I don't want to go too high. I want to keep the skin tones looking natural, I think. Around about there, and it does need a little bit of magenta, I would say, as well. So about there, +6. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and use 4x5 film, which is an Archipelago preset. This one's available at archipelagopresets.com. Incredible filmic presets. They are also quite color accurate. They have that filmic look, but they are still quite color accurate. Not totally color accurate like Alethea, but they strike that really nice balance between being filmic and still sort of retaining a lot of the natural colors. So we'll go for AP451, the first preset on this, and that's a really nice transformation already. So that's the before and after using 4x5 film. So we're looking good from the start, but again, let's use a different creative profile. You have the 4x5 film density profile on here as default, but we're going to go ahead and use another Quest profile. This time I'm going to go for Dynamics, which is Quest 3. Quest 3 is part of our Quest Volume 1. That's a bundle of the first year of Quest's presets all together, and that's available to purchase from the archive store if you are a Quest member. So you can find out more about Quest at archipelagoquest.com. It's our preset subscription. We release a new preset every month that's free for our subscribers to download. But you also get access to purchase older sets that were released prior to your subscription, including Quest 3, like I said, as part of that bundle that's called Quest Volume 1. It's the first year of Quest, so 1 through to 12, all included in that bundle. And that includes this, which is called Dynamics, Quest 3. So I'm going to apply the profile. So this is the Dynamics profile at 100. Down at 0, up at 200. Does a really nice job of retaining that filmic look, but just adding a little bit more contrast, a little bit more pop, a little bit more punch to the image. I'm going to bring that up relatively high, about there. Actually, no, I'm going to go higher. I'm going to go for about 180. All right, so let's address the background a little bit. I really like these leaves that we have here, but I just want to kind of soften things up a little bit. So I'm going to go into Archipelago Redwood. And I'll use one of my favorite tools, which is called Painterly. This is a background tool that uses the AI function to just select the background and give that nice painterly softness to it. So this is it down at 0, up at 200. So you can see how it's just softening those highlights and just kind of bringing drawing the attention to the subject and just softening things down in the background. So I'm going to crank that all the way to 200 because I really like the way that looks. So that's from Redwood. Again, Redwood's available at archipelagopresets.com. So that's where we are so far. Looking very, very nice. Let's do some more adjustments to that background, actually. So I'm going to go into the masking panel. We're going to go ahead and create a new mask, select background. That'll use the AI to just figure out where the background is. It does a really, really good job most of the time. So you can see it's done a fantastic job here just selecting that background. So I'm going to warm things up. I want a nice warm green tone in the background, but I didn't want to push the temperature anymore across the image because I want the skin tones to stay nice and natural. So I'm going to go up around about there. I'm going to bring the highlights down just a little bit more just to soften things up. And contrast can come down a little bit and exposure down a little bit here as well, just to kind of further push what Painterly has done. So if I turn the masks off, this is before, this is after. So you can see how it's really softened it up. We've still got the nice shapes in the leaves in the background, but we've just kind of brought a little bit of softness there. We've brought the highlights down. We've added some warmth as well, which I think looks really nice. We could bring shadows up a little bit as well, actually. Just a little bit. Great, so that's looking good to me. Let's use one of the other tools in Lightroom. We're going to go ahead and use Lens Blur. So Lens Blur is actually in beta at the moment. It's early access, but you're going to find it on the develop module on the right-hand side here. So we're going to go ahead and use this new tool here just to kind of blur the background and give us that more almost like medium format or large format depth of field, where you have a really, really shallow depth of field, really blurred background, and a nice, crisp, sharp subject. So I'm going to go ahead and apply, give that a minute for it to analyze. And then we've got a few different types of apertures. So I'm going to go for a more vintage look by going for the cat eye aperture. So it has this sort of like curvature to the aperture. And then we can determine how much blur we want. So we can crank it all the way up or we can bring it down. I'm going to go for a fairly aggressive blur just because I really want to push that that look, that filmic medium format, large format look. So yeah, about 53. So just around where it sort of applies as default. You have got other tools in here such as boost and various different things that can help to define bokeh balls, things like that. But don't need to do that on here because we don't really have much going on as far as bokeh. It's just a nice softness in the background there. So this is without, this is with. So really nice job. Adds that extra little bit of separation and gives that nice bit of vintage curvature to the bokeh. All right, so we're getting there now. It's looking nice and filmic, but still nice and contrasty and punchy. Of course, because we've got the dynamics profile, I can determine how much of that contrast I have in the final edit by just using the profile. So I can come back to that later, but let's go ahead and do something else that's gonna add to that filmic look. We're gonna go and add some dust and scratches. This is a Quest tool set. So again, this is available on archipelagoquest.com. In the archive store, you can go ahead and purchase this, and it features a series of different dust and scratch effects that you can apply to your image to help achieve that nice filmic nostalgic look. So I'm going to go for Dust and Scratches 9. This is one of my favorites, and you can see it applies that really nice dust to the image, little scratches here and there, and some nice shapes to the dust. So that's looking great. I think the default amount is looking good as well. We could, of course, go into the masking panel and adjust that if we want to, but I like the default amount as it is. And then let's do one other thing. Let's go for another Quest tool set. Let's go for filmic borders. So this set again uses the masking panel and is again available in the archive store on archipelagoquest.com. And this one replicates the look of various different film borders. So you have like sprocket holes, light leaks, borders around the edge, and it replicates the look of 35mm film, 120 film, and even Super 8. So I'm going to go for one of the 35mm. It comes in both horizontal and vertical version. I'm going to go for the vertical one because obviously we have a vertical image. And I'm going to go for Filmic 35mm 3. And this one is essentially replicating the look of shooting 35mm film through a medium format camera. So when you do that, you basically shoot the entire width of the film over the rebate, and essentially you can then see the sprocket holes through the shot essentially. So this replicates that look. So you get these really nice sprocket holes down the sides, a nice bit of light leak included with it as well. And again, it just adds to that filmic look. So now I can decide on the dynamics just to finish this image. So I'm going to soften it a little bit, and I might go into the background, which is all the way down here. I think it's this one. I'm going to bring the exposure back up just a bit, maybe about there. Bring the contrast down as well. Yeah, that's looking good. That's just going to accentuate the filmic border just a little bit more. That's looking good to me. So let's close that out and profile set to 143, and that's it done. So there you go, before and after. Again, wonderful image from Katrina. I'll show you the side by side there. If I zoom in on the subject, you can see got the nice film grains that was applied with the 4x5 preset 1, which we applied first. We've then got the dynamics creative profile from Quest 3 Dynamics. We've got Redwood Painterly in the background. We've also done some hand edits in the background, addressing some of the temperature and kind of contrast levels in the background there. We've also done a lens blur using the lens blur function in Lightroom Classic. And then we've got some dust and scratches and some filmic border from the Quest tools as well. So if I move around, show you, you can see the sprocket holes there, a little bit of light leak, and the dust. Super, super nice. Let's have a look and see what we're saying in the chat. Lloyd says, I need to start including some of these borders in my galleries. They always look great. Yeah, really nice. Just for that sort of unique look. You're not going to use it across an entire gallery of images, but maybe if you've got that one shot that would benefit from having that particular look, or if you're going for a very filmic vibe, you can kind of use these tools to achieve that. So definitely you want to do that. The pink against the green is so beautiful. That's from Sarah. Thank you. Akshay says, AI toolset is used on most of my photos in recent times. Yep, absolutely. Great toolset, that one. Love the filmy look. Beautiful edit. The border just completes it. Nicola says, sucker for a good light leak. That's great news, Nicola. We might be working on something that you might like. Stay tuned. All right, so there we go. This is before and after one more time. Again, wonderful image from Katrina. Thank you so much, Katrina. Of course, you are going to get a free preset collection of your choice. If you just reach out to us on our support email, we'll get that sorted out for you. All right, so next image, this one here by Ashley. This is a gorgeous photo. We have this lovely hazy light going on in the background here. Wonderful subjects down in the foreground, and then we've got this beautiful kind of blurring light around the reflections in the water, those kind of specular highlights. Super nice. All right, let's close this out and let's take a look at the next recipe we have. So we're starting this one with a Quest preset this time around. So I'm going to go for Quest 17 Air. Again, this is available on archipelagoquest.com. If you are a subscriber, you can go and purchase this from the archive store. Really nice, crisp, cool-toned presets. Very favored by wedding photographers who want that very sort of clean, modern look. So I'm going to use Air 2 for this. So you can see that transformation already. It looks super nice before and after. And the white balance was looking good actually already. We could afford to add a little bit more warmth. So I just wanted to apply the preset for this first, and then I'm going to bring the warmth up just a bit. I'm not going to go super high, but just a bit. I want to retain that nice cool tonality that we've got in the raw file. All right, so that's looking good. Let's go and mix in a different creative profile. So for this one, we're going to use Halite. This is an Archipelago set available from archipelagopresets.com. And this comes with 3 creative profiles. I'm going to use Halite S, which is this one here, and look at that for a transformation. Super nice profile, and it works very well with air. So if I bring this down to 0, this is no profile applied. This is up at 200, very dramatic. I'm going to go somewhere between probably actually the default maybe of 100, maybe a little higher. Yeah, about here, I think about 142. So that's looking really nice. So before and after. It's adding a lot of punch, a lot of contrast to the image. So the first thing I want to do from this point is just kind of address that, just because we're losing a bit of detail in the darker areas of the image. So let's go into the masking panel, and we're going to go to range, and we're going to go to luminance range. And again, I'm going to use that same technique here just to address the shadows and the highlights in the image. So the first thing I'm going to do is use the dropper tool just to select the shadowy area. So I'm going to select the hair here, which is going to select all this area that's in shadow. And I'm happy with that as a selection. I'm going to bring the shadows up just to kind of recover the detail in those areas. And I'm going to offset that with a little bit of a boost in contrast. So that will allow me to see more details in the shadows, but with the added contrast, it keeps it looking nice and natural, so it doesn't sort of lift it too much. So this is before, this is after. So you can see just brings a really nice amount. If I zoom into the subjects here, before and after, just brings a nice amount of detail back into the hair, back into the ripples in the water over there. So we're not too contrasty. I'm going to go and create another one. Same again, luminance range. I'll zoom back out, and I'm going to choose the highlights. So up here, so you can see this has selected the highlights in the image, and I'm just going to change the feather just a little bit so that we've got a little bit more fall off. And all I'm going to do here is just bring the highlights down a little bit, not loads. Again, I want to keep some of the dimension that's in the image. I don't want to make it too flat. But let's have a quick look. This is before and after. Yes, that's done a nice job of just bringing a little bit of the detail back in some of those brighter areas of the image whilst maintaining that nice contrast that we want. All right, what's next? Let's address the water. I'm going to go back into a mask panel. Let's turn that back on actually. Back to the masking panel, and I'm going to choose color range. And this time I'm going to select the greenish bluish color in the water. Let's refine that because I don't want it to affect all of the image. I just want it to affect these sort of greeny tones in the water. And what I want to do is just add a little bit of cool toning into that area, just so we can get a nice bit of contrasting color, so we can go with that cool background and then the warmth in the subjects and the warmth in the light in the background. So I think maybe somewhere around there. I'm going to bring the saturation up a bit as well, just so we can pronounce that bluish green a little bit. So before and after, that's looking good. All right, so let's see what else we want to do. I think that's it for masking. So we're going to use a tool now. I'm going to go into one of the Quest sets, which is Quest 26 Zia. Again, this set is available from archipelagoquest.com in the archive store. Zia is all about sunlight and warmth and all that kind of good stuff. And it includes some very cool tools, which are the sun and burst tools. So I'm going to do sun V, which is vertical. I'm going to add that first. I'm just going to add in this nice sun flare, which when I select, I can then drag up and move around in the image. I'm going to position that just at the edge of the frame as if the sun's peeking over the top of the trees there. We're just seeing that glow come through, which we are actually getting in the image. We've got that glow of light, but we're just pronouncing that by adding the sun in there. And then I'm also going to apply a burst. So burst 2, which is a nice big one. And I can give that a click and move that around in the scene. And again, I'm going to bring it up so it's just out of frame, just peeking in, I think, somewhere around there. You've got the amount sliders, so you can set that wherever you like. I'm just going to bring it down just a bit. So we've got that nice extra pop of light. So if I close that down, this is if I turn all of the masks off at once, before and after. So you can see how it's addressing the shadows, it's addressing the highlights, the bluey green color in the background, and then of course bringing that sun in there as well. All right, so next up, let's go for a little bit more drama. We'll use a tool from Mythos. This is a recent Quest set, so it's from last month. And this is a black and white set that features 4 black and white presets and then a bunch of tools. And those tools can actually be used with color presets as well. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to use one of the mist tools. So it has 3 mist tools: low mist, 1, 2, and 3. And these apply a mist effect, or like a rolling mist effect in the background of your image using the AI function and the masking panel. So I'm going to use low mist 2. And we'll give that a second for it to render. So it's going to apply the effect, it'll figure out where the subject is and mask it behind. Now, of course, it doesn't look particularly real at the moment, and that's because of where it's placed. That's not a problem, we can move it around. We'll go into the mask panel, choose low mist, and then grab any of these handles and I can move it. And what I want to do is place this over the side here as if the mist is just sort of rolling in from this side. And what I'm going to do, just to make it look a little bit more real, I'm going to go into the mask itself. I'm going to subtract linear gradient, and I'm just going to get rid of it on the water here, just so it looks like it's hovering just above the water level, like it would do naturally over a lake in a morning, something like that. I'm going to go back in, actually, I'm going to address the amount. So I'm just going to bring it, I want it to be fairly subtle. I just want a little bit of extra shape and texture going on in the background. So actually maybe about there, about 118, so a slight increase. So just moved it off to the side, use a linear gradient just to remove it from the actual water and just have the rolling mist effect coming in over the top. And let's see, we could also use another tool from Mythos, which is called Ether, and Ether essentially gives a really nice, soft, dreamy look to the background, similar in a way to Painterly that we saw from Redwood, but this has a much more pronounced effect and it has a much sort of hazier look to it. So I'll give that a click. So this is Ether at 0, up at 200. We're going to go for something relatively subtle, but I just want to soften things up back there so we get that nice hazy look, pronounce that hazy light. And the nice thing with this is it applies to the background, but it also is graduated. So if I go in here, you can see it doesn't address the bottom of the image. So down here, it doesn't affect it. It's just in the background behind the subject and just gradually towards the top of the frame. So that's looking super nice. And one last thing, actually. So I'm noticing in this image, we have a really gorgeous lens flare. We have this really, really nice rainbow effect that's just running across the subject here. So I'm just going to pronounce that a little bit more, just to kind of add to the dreamy look that we've got naturally there. I just want to kind of really push that. So again, masking panel. Let's jump in here, create a new mask. I'm going for a radial gradient. And I'm just going to sort of mirror the shape of that flare. So I'm going to go like that. I'm going to angle it probably about there. I'm just going to place it directly over the top. I'm going to bring the saturation up quite a lot. I'm going to bring the contrast up a little bit there as well. Bring the exposure up probably around about there. Could get away with a bit more contrast, I think. Yeah, somewhere around there. So if I go before and after, so it's just pronouncing that rainbow effect just a little bit more by adding that extra saturation, extra contrast. So before and after. Wonderful, that's looking great. So that's probably the edit for me. So here's before. Wonderful, wonderful raw file here from Ashley. Thank you so much for submitting, Ashley. I could not pick this one when I saw it. Super nice. So there's before, there's after. And again, the recipe for this one, we used Air. So that's Quest 17 Air as the preset base. We then used the Halite profile from Archipelago Halite. We did some manual masking just to recover the shadows and address the highlights and a little bit of the blues in the water. We then added the Zia Sun and Burst masks to give that nice light effect in the top of the frame. So again, you can see that before and after. We used Mythos Mist, just addressed that and kind of tweaked it to blend into the image. And the Mythos Ether, just to kind of soften things up even further. And then just a little enhancement to the flare that we saw in the image there for that nice rainbow effect that was in the photo. So there's your side by side. I'm gonna have a drink. Lots of love for Zia's sunbursts in the chat. The sun transformed some of my autumn images. Love that, Nicola. Bryn says, I'm obsessed with this. Love it. The mist works so well, so realistic as well. That's from Nicola. Thank you so much. Ether is such a win. Brianna said, I need to try this one. Yes, give this a go. I think you'll enjoy it. It's quite a nice combo. When I was playing around and deciding what to use, this combination is one that really stood out to me. So having the Air preset as the base and then the Halite creative profile, super nice, chef's kiss, if you will. Will this be available to watch after the live? I missed the beginning. Yes, no worries, Tara. You can watch this stream back as soon as it's finished. So as soon as we're done here, you can go back and re-watch the stream along with all our other streams. So if you have missed any recent live streams and you want to re-watch them, you can, of course, do that on our YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe so you can see those, and you can go into the playlists and find all of our previous live streams. Thank you for joining there. It's great to have you on board. Ashley, whose image this is in the chat there, saying, love, love, love the tones, the effects. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ashley. This is a wonderful photo. Super pretty. Like I said before, you'll be getting a free preset collection of your choice. You can reach out to us at our support email, which is just support@archipelagopresets.com, and let us know what set you want. We got that sorted out for you. Big congratulations. All right, so we're rolling on to the fourth and final image of this stream. Once I've edited this image, we'll be announcing some winners in the chat for some freebies, some goodies, so stick around. So here we go, this image here from Kaja. I'm going to go and address the exposure and white balance first. I'm just going to add a little bit of warmth. Exposure's looking good, actually. Maybe just a tiny little bit of an increase, maybe around about there. All right, so what we're using for this one, let's go for Quest. One of the Quest sets, Quest 24 Fluoresce. This is a really nice light and airy preset collection available on archipelagoquest.com in the archive store. So Fluoresce, I'm going to go for Fluoresce 3. Lovely, look at that. So it retains that nice lightness to the image. It has that light and airy look to it, which is what I want because we've got the snow in the background. We want to kind of maintain that nice light and airy look, but it's got a nice punch of contrast to it as well. All right, so let's get a creative profile to mix in. So we're going to go for Alethea. So this is a set that comes with 12 creative profiles. It's one of our recent sets available at archipelagopresets.com. So this one's a great one if you like mixing and matching because you're going to have 12 profiles to be able to mix in with other presets. And we'll go for one of the cool toned presets profiles. Sorry, in this we'll go for Alethea 5. So this is it at 0. Up at 200, you can see it's just got a nice crisp coolness to it. I'm going to go for about 124. So that's adding a little bit more exposure, but I'm not going to address that here because I want to actually keep the whites in the snow quite bright. but I do want to correct the skin because the skin tone's now just getting a little bit too overexposed. So we'll do that using the AI portrait tool set. And we'll start by using the restore tone again. This is, like I said, a tool that I use a lot on portraiture. It helps just to kind of give that nice natural skin tone. So this is it at 0, up at 200. So you can see how it's just bringing the tone back to being nice and natural. Really great if you find that it's shifting, becoming more overexposed, something like that. So with this, I'm going to set it to about 73. So that's looking really good so far. And let's use a bunch of other tools in here just to kind of enhance this portrait a little bit further. So let's go for skin shift orange. I'm going to add a little bit of warmth back into the skin. So this is a similar tool to what we used in the first image, but for that one we wanted magenta. For this one I just want the warmth. So I'm going to use the orange one. I'm going to go fairly high just because I want to make sure we've got a nice amount of warmth in the skin there. Let's take a look at some of the tools. So we have tools in here for eyes, for lips, for brows. So I'm going to use some of these. Let's go for lips saturate, just bring a little bit more color into the lips here as well. Let's go for brows darken. And you can see one click, it's going to use the AI to figure out where these features are, and then you can just increase or decrease the amount. So just darken the brows down just for a little bit more of a dramatic look. Let's go for eyes brighten. So that's going to give us a little bit more light in the eyes. So that's a nice draw to the eyes of the subject. I'm going to saturate as well just to bring a little bit more of the color into their eye as well. So I think there it's looking good. Actually, yeah, the default amount of 100. So that's looking really good. All right, what else are we going to do with this? Let's go into Archipelago Quest Glacial. I'm going to use a tool in here just to enhance the colors in the background. So you can see there's not a massive amount going on. It's very monotone, monochromatic in the background, but we have got a little bit of green in there, but it's getting a little bit lost. So I'm going to use the rainbow tool from Quest 22 Glacial. If I give that a click, you can see it masks out the subject, applies to the background, and now I can add as much saturation to the background as I want. I'm going to crank it all the way up to 200 just so I can bring some nice contrasting green into the background. Maybe back it off a little bit, maybe about there, 180. And that's looking really nice against the purple of the hat and the scarf there. So that's the rainbow tool from Quest 22 Glacial. Let's use Serenus, Quest 27 Serenus. I'm going to use the tilt shift tools. So Quest 27 Serenus is a partner set to Alethea. It's also very color accurate like Alethea is, but it's designed to pair really nicely with it. And some of the tools that are included with this are the tilt shift tools, and these replicate the look of using a tilt shift lens where you get the blurred effect at the top and bottom. And there's 3 versions. You have the tilt shift middle, tilt shift top, and tilt shift bottom. I'm going to use middle. And you can see it just blurs the top and bottom of the frame. It keeps the middle of the frame nice and clear. So I'm going to bring that probably, let's go quite high, quite a pronounced effect, maybe about 150, yeah, about there. And let's have a look. What else are we going to use? Let's use one of the prism tools. So this is a Quest tool set called Prism Effects, Quest Tools 04. And this replicates the look of using a glass prism in front of your lens. So I'm going to use one of the vertical versions because we have a vertical image here. So let's go for Prism 8. This one applies down at the bottom here. And what's really nice actually is when you use it in combination with the tilt shift, the blur of the tilt shift effect goes over the top of the prism effect. So we get this nice amount of light at the bottom, but it's also blurred. We can go ahead and apply another one. I just want to have one in the top corner. So let's go for Prism 3, which is this one on the side here. Now, of course, you can move these around. Go into the masking panel, give it a click, grab one of the handles, and then you can move it and place it wherever you want. So I'm just going to use this just off in the top corner here out of the way, just to add a little bit of that light kind of bursting in from the top. So we kind of have this nice blurred lens effect at the bottom and top right. All right, so that's looking great. I'm really liking the amount of contrast actually we've got in this. But the only thing I do think I need to do, similar to what I did with the last image, is just bring a little bit of detail back out in the shadows. So same technique as before. I'm going to go in the masking panel, create a new mask. I'm going to go to the luminance range, click in the shadows, and now I can just go ahead and bring the shadows up decent amount, maybe about there, and a little bit of contrast just to maintain that nice dynamic. Let's take a look. So before and after, that's doing a really nice job. You can see that we still kind of have a little bit of separation. So this is still darker in here and here, but it's lifting it enough that we're not losing any detail, so you can see as much as we'd like to see in the shadowy areas of that part of the image. So I think maybe about there is looking good. Of course, you can just adjust the amount. So once you've got that set, you can just adjust the mask amount, but that's looking good to me. So let's take a look. This is before and after. Nice crisp edit, something quite different from what we've done on the previous ones. Very sort of, it has a little bit of a filmic look to it. Fluoresce is a little bit filmic, but it's quite modern in the fact that it's very sort of, it's got a lot of pop, a lot of contrast, nice vibrant colors. I'm just going to bring the exposure down just a tiny touch. So there you go. That's your side-by-side comparison. So with this one, we've used the Fluoresce preset. So that's Quest 24 Fluoresce. We used one of the Alethea profiles. That was profile 5. We've then done a little bit of portrait retouching by using the AI portrait toolset just to address things like the skin tone, eyes, brows, lips. And then we also went ahead and used the rainbow effect from Quest Glacial, which just enhanced the colors in the background. And then we've added a couple of tools there. So the Serenus tilt shift tool and the prism tools alongside it. So there you go. That's your side by side. If I zoom in, give you a nice close up, look at this gorgeous image. Super nice. I love the snow. I love the kind of drips we've got coming down the face of the subject. Beautifully sharp, really, really nice on the eye of the subject there, but we've got a nice amount of fall off as well. Really gorgeous image here from Kasha. Zoom back out. Let's show you the before and after. Super crisp, really, really nice wintry shot. What are we saying in the chat? Some chat about Quest Tools 05 Snowfall in the archive shop. Yes, I've used Snowfall a bunch in the last few live streams that I've done. It's an incredible tool. It's essentially a one-click tool to achieve snow in your images. Now, I wouldn't necessarily use it on this just because I think it might be a little bit distracting. I like how clean this is as a portrait, but let me show you the tool. If you've not seen it, it's absolutely amazing. If I just hover over the effect here and give it a second to render, you're going to see with one click you can achieve an amazing snowfall effect in your images. Again, just using the masking panel. So there you go, look, you get all these amazing snowflakes. They're different sizes, different depth of field, and it's one click, and you can just see how that masks around your subject and in your scene. Very, very natural, incredible if you're doing those sorts of snowy sessions or wintry sessions where you've not got snowfall actually coming down, or actually most of the time I find when you have got snowfall, it's actually really, really hard to see in the shot. The snowflakes tend to be very, very small, very difficult to distinguish. They just don't have the same look as what you might imagine they would. So actually, I've used this when I've had images where there's actual snowfall. It's actually snowing, but it just doesn't look quite as dramatic as I was hoping. So I've just used this effect over the top to achieve that. We had some snowfall a week or so ago. I went out for a walk with my dog and took some photos just of the landscape and things like that. And I used it on quite a few of those, just to kind of really enhance that wintry scene. Very, very cool tool, and that's available again from the archive store on archipelagoquest.com. So if you're not a member already, go and join. You can become a member for as little as $12 per month. We release a new set every month that's free for our subscribers to download, and then you can also purchase the previously released sets from the archive store. You also get a year-round discount on Archipelago Presets. So if you've got your eye on any of the other sets that I've shown, like 4x5, Alethea, all those sets, you can get 30% off if you are a Quest member using the Quest members discount code as well. So lots to love about Quest. But let's go back to the screen here. I'm going to select all these and give them a second to render the edits out. This one's just going to render in a moment. Come on, catch up. Are you going to render? Are you not going to render? Let's have a look. Let's go into the image. Sometimes Lightroom can be a little bit slow at rendering things out. That's what we want to see. Lovely, there we go. So let's go ahead and select those and show them all side by side. So there we go, that's your 4 images edited on this mix and match live stream, just showcasing how you can use different presets with different creative profiles and different tools to achieve something stunning and unique, create your own recipes, and really kind of go for something very creative, enjoy the editing process, but also achieve something that's different from everyone else who's using Archipelago presets. So, we've got so many presets, so many tools, so many profiles out now. There's no limit to what you can do. It's amazing. So play around, have fun. I think you'll really, really enjoy it. All right, let's switch back to this screen here. So we'll be announcing some winners in the chat in just a moment. Big thank you to everyone for tuning in. And of course, massive thanks to those 4 photographers whose images I selected. Like I said at the start of the stream, if you haven't submitted any RAWs yet, there is plenty of time to do that. We do these live streams fairly regularly, and I will pick from that pool of images for all future live streams that are the Archipelago edit streams. So yeah, you can submit your images, submit as many as you like. You can submit them multiple times, and I'll keep choosing from those. And if yours is selected for a future stream, you will get your hands on a free preset collection as well. But of course, we'll be announcing some winners in the chat who are tuned in live. So if you didn't submit yet, but you are tuned in live, we'll be announcing someone in the chat in just a moment. But big thank you to everyone for joining. Really enjoy these streams. It's been another fantastic year full of them over here on YouTube. So we really appreciate everyone liking these videos. And actually on that point, if you could give this one a like if you've enjoyed the stream. All of our subscribers, got more than 5,000 subscribers on YouTube now, which is wonderful. This is the second to last stream of the year. I'm going to do one more between Christmas and New Year, which is going to be a sneak peek at the next Quest set, which will be released on the 1st of January. So if you are around between the two and you kind of you've eaten loads of food and you're just vegging out, come and join me for a live stream, and we'll be showcasing that and giving a preview of that early. So there we go. Lauren's announced the live chat giveaway. The winner of preset of choice is Brianna. Well done, Brianna. You are getting a free preset of your choosing. Just reach out to us on that support email, and we'll get that sorted out for you. So that's it. That's the live stream. Thank you so much to everyone for joining. Like I said, come and join me for the next one. I believe 28th is the date that we'll be doing that one. But if you subscribe to the YouTube channel, turn the notifications on. We'll obviously be sharing when that's going to be happening. But enjoy your Christmas. Happy holidays. And I'll see you very, very soon.